Catch me in Toronto at the Royal Theatre October 18th, Tulsa, Oklahoma, October 24th, 25th. Get your tickets at YannisPappasComedy.com right now. Enjoy it chilled or room temperature. Patreon.com/YannisPappasHour to support this niche, small mom and mom shop. It's a lesbian couple that owns this show, and I want you to support their little shop. Welcome to another episode of the Yannis Pappas Hour. Branding! That's the show you're watching. I'm the comedian Yannis Pappas, but I don't want to be known as a comedian anymore. I want to be known as an influencer. Those are the guys that are getting bags and bags of money. I can't wait till there's a dance-off in Riyadh. That's going to happen soon. TikTok. I want the future to come now where we just watch hot girls TikTok dance. How are those girls cashing in live? They don't need to just sell dole, fruit. Let's pay tickets to watch them. Oh, there's a whole bunch of new ones now. Are you kidding me? Charlie D'Amelio, she's a grandmother at this point. Brought to you by Mr. Beast and Liquid IV and whatever energy drink Jake Paul's brother owns. I can't remember what it's called. It's called Prime. And then also his Jake Paul's Body Axe spray. That's the future, baby. There was an actor who came up on the street to me and Chris and wanted to take a picture with us yesterday. It's the new world, sweetheart. It's the new world. And this new world has made us slow down on making children. It's a selfish, narcissistic world without a God. That's what it is. No reason to create kids, baby, when video games can put you into another world. You can stay at home in your room in Long Island and do nothing with your life while you are still tintillated and get the endorphin rushes and the oxytocin that you need from playing Minecraft. You're able to live as 8 different people at the same time, depending on how many screen names you have to write "you suck" on. You get to be different personalities. You get to pretend like you're a woman and go into a sex chat room and feel like a woman being talked to by a man and explore what that feels like without having to do it. You get to dip your toes into Nazi Jew hate by just going and watching someone's video. All you got to do is go to Jake Shields' Twitter page on X, and you're like, you get to just tintillate that. What's that like to live as a Jew hater for a second? You want to know what it's like to be Muslim for a second? Accept the offer at the Riyadh Comedy Festival. Take a peek around. Options are open. People are not finished exploring their childhood curiosities at 15 anymore, okay? Unless you're Amish. Okay? And you're not sure why your brain is weird, but it has something to do with your parents being first cousins. You get to feel what that's like if you want in the simulations that are coming. It's going to be called Sim Amish Country, where you get to, instead of building a city, you get to build an inbred community with butter churning and goat fucking and acne on your face. Every time I've gone to the Philadelphia farmer's market to get some Amish almond butter, the girls that are selling it to me look like Irish girls with acne. I can't tell where the freckles end and the pimples begin. Jebediah! You want to be a Muslim guy with multiple wives? You'll be able to do that too in the new simulation called Afghanistan. Brought to you by Nike. You get to explore. You get to live other lives. You can be pretty soon there will be a 72-year-old man sitting there playing with people all across the world and playing war games and talking to each other. You know, it's not just chess anymore. You know what kind of a leap forward that was for me to just be able to play another person in chess at any moment? I could turn on right now and play someone from, it seems to be a lot of the times, the Ukraine. You know, I guess they're playing Ukraine. They're playing chess in the bunkers. A lot of times it's India. A lot of times it's like Malaysia. There's just a lot of people there. Population is not something you think about because it's never really been an issue in the modern world that we grew up in. It was always, whoa, there's too many people. Whoa. There's too many people. It keeps increasing. It keeps increasing. And it has since 1975. The human population has doubled. We've gone from 4 billion to 8 billion unique little stars, snowflakes, all of us, children of God with potential. Sometimes that potential is to roll up on a scooter and steal your iPhone if you were born in Brazil in flip-flops with a partner, which hopefully you get shot for, or somebody rolls you over with the car, so then you end up on a Twitter account that shows you violence. And that was your unique portion of God trying to know itself in mortal form. Some of us become radical religious fanatics who blow themselves up in street cafes. Again, God's special little children. Some of us become annoying sophists on the internet, cherry picking certain facts, utilizing rules of omission in order to anchor the points to their perspective. Seeing the world in a very cartoonish good versus evil way. Of course, your argument being the good. Some of us are expressing our mortal form of God's energy by commenting on people's videos. And some of us are out here fucking. And some of us are out here masturbating. It is true, unfortunately, it is true that 20% of the guys are sought after by 80% of the women, and the guys get to choose. We're going through a great transition in economy, in perspective, in culture. We're opening the door for digital, surreal, but real AI intelligence to do all our menial jobs first. Those will go. If you're a truck driver, thank you for your service. If you're a taxi driver, thank you for your service. If you work at the MTA in New York City, thank you for your service. Radiologists, thank you. X-rays, thank you. And then white collars coming next. If you are a lawyer, you better learn some shtick. If you're a doctor, you better learn some shtick. There's got to be another reason I want to see you than the pretend economy by which you make up a number I have to charge you by. And I just feel like my ass has been penetrated after it's over, because there'll be a low flat fee from some AI that can do your job better than you can. And that's the world we're moving into. So at the same time as the population is rising, people are getting nervous, mostly billionaires who don't like losing consumer basis. The same time that we've doubled since 1975 globally, and we're probably going to hit about 10, 11 million at some point. At the same time, we've had the birth of artificial intelligence, which is going to bring down the need for biological humans by a lot. So it's going, but with the need, it's just, we're looking for that sweet spot, baby. What's the perfect amount of people? Don't ask me. Don't ask me, because I'm middle-aged. I'll say an empty bar. I'll say empty roads. I'll say no people, except for a personal harem for me in a society where it's okay. And I can rank my women based on a concubinage system. The wife, the bottom bitch, and the rest. And have them watched by an African eunuch. Because God, the Ottoman system sounds like it came with a few amenities if you don't want to consider women's feelings. So what happened in modernity? We started considering women's feelings. They stopped becoming baby machines. We let them take off their hijabs and show their hair. And then what happened? They got on TikTok and they started dancing and we all wanted to fuck them. It became reversed. 80% of the guys want to stalk one girl who's stupid enough to post her dancing video with surrounding scenery that can be scanned by AI to get your location so then some creep can crawl into your garbage can. If you're doing TikTok videos, please do them on a green screen and turn your location service off. If my daughters start doing TikTok videos, they're going straight into Catholicism. Nuns. They will be nuns. So you cannot ignore the fact that emerging and now sustained women's rights has correlated with a massive dip in babies, right? For a millennia, women have just been like making it to the age of 14 under the strict rule of their mother and father, not being allowed to travel, no semesters in Italy. Can you imagine? Most of history was without a girl's semester abroad to meet an Italian guy, right? In Italy. Nothing. None of their hopes and dreams ever came true. They just had to marry some guy who then went to war and died. And it was like 14, 16, 18, 21, so young, because nature's cruel. You're a high-risk pregnancy by the time you're 35 years old. Well, I could make a baby in an old folks' home with someone holding my dick, right? That's what they used to do. If the population gets low and we run out of blue chews, what you can do is just lay me down like a corpse. Hold my dick. That can't get hard. Just hold it, right? Well, you'd hold it with tweezers. And you hold it, and a fertile girl can just sit on it like this until the juice came out. Now, my boys, they wouldn't run so good, but maybe one of them would live to the finish line. Al Pacino had a kid at 83 years old with a fertile woman who could have been his great-granddaughter in another era. So it's just not fair. It has never been fair. And women are seeking that fairness. Maybe if they keep pushing it, maybe human women will adapt, and maybe you won't be a high-risk pregnancy when you're 62. But the problem is very few guys will want to bang you out because you're competing with the 20 and 30-year-olds. So these laws of the jungle are always underneath, society's laws, first world civilization's laws. They're anatomically anchored. They're underneath. And we either go with them or we resist them. You know who goes with them very well? People who repress women's rights. People whose religion and culture say, hey, sweetheart, you're here to fulfill God's will, and that is to birth me many children. And if I want, you're going to be one of many. Because we're here to fulfill the male ego. And if God's a male, maybe we're mirroring God and he has a big ego. Who knows? But I tell you who's not suffering any threat to replacement rates. Now, what's replacement rates? Replacement level fertility is about 2 births per woman, right? That's what you want. I mean, we're lagging way behind dogs, dude. They push out about 6 to 8 puppies, right? Stink bugs. Tons. Those living organisms have evolved to really push them out. Mosquitoes, any little body of water that you leave around your house, they're going to lay eggs in, right? They're always fucking. What do? First I got to meet on an app. You need to find out if I like to hike. What are my outdoor activities? Can we just start cutting to the chase and have fucking meetup parties where meetup people just fuck? Okay, you want to do away with marriage? Let's just put on blindfolds, go to the dark, and everyone just starts sticking it in and see who gets pregnant. But it's really under threat, right? And the hotter trans women get, some guys are going to start banging trans women who can't get pregnant. They're a type of woman that can't get pregnant. The only difference between a trans woman and a woman is a shaved down Adam's apple surgically, and one can have a baby and one can't. For some people, that's not much of a difference, and it doesn't determine gender. And for other people, that's the determining factor. When you're having a baby and you're in, what is that called, the maternity ward? Coincidentally, there's no trans women there. There's not. It's not like an Ali Wong show where you got women and trans women there. All right, because I just couldn't think of any other comedians. It's not like a Mark Maron show where you may have trans and who do they see? I don't know. But at the maternity ward, there's only one type of woman who shows up for that. Trans women aren't there. So that, for some people, that's a big difference. For other people, that's just a little minor detail. And all of you who are listening to this fall on one side of the spectrum or the other. Now, Elliot Page, handsome fella. But here's the deal. I can put a baby in that little twink stomach. Tim Dillon could put a baby in that little twink stomach. Do I think it's fun that we're playing with gender? Yes. Do I think some of this has had a confusing impact on children growing up now that they're so open? Yes. Is there a such thing as too open? I don't know. Maybe yes. I think kind of maybe yes. Is there a thing about being too restrictive, too repressive? Yes. Are we always looking for the moderate, middle of the road sweet spot? Yes. Are we at a time in our culture right now where we're gravitating towards the extremes, which always come back around to each other? Yes. Why? I don't know. The answer is always moderation. The answer is always moderates. People who can pull points from both sides and create a cohesive, practical, real-world outlook and philosophy. Jesse really liked that one, and so did I. Because look at that handsome little fella. I'll grab him by his crew crot and put a baby in him from doggy style. So birth rates are declining. It's a concern, but it's also a positive. It has pros and negatives. We just don't know. We're in this transition stage, okay? This podcast episode is ahead of its time, like most of my podcast episodes. I usually just end up being right no matter what you put in the comment sections. You just have to wait around a little bit and go back and check. So in certain areas, birth rate is rising. Sub-Saharan African, well above replacement levels. Amish communities, well above replacement levels. Muslim countries, well above replacement levels, although, albeit, we've seen a little dip in Iran. It seems to be there's a correlation between the level of sophistication, and by sophistication, I mean what? Technology, modernity, how modern your country is with birth levels. The more modern you are, the more people don't want to grow up. Extended youth seems to be the thing, right? Nobody wants to grow up. Women want to explore more. They just got unshackled, for God's sakes. They just figured out that coming is okay. I get it. They want more sexual partners. They want more experience. They want to live a little bit beyond the lesbian experience in college and maybe have 2 or 3 relationships. They want to explore themselves a little more, travel the world, start a food cooking page with recipes. They want to dance on TikTok. They've just been liberated. Nobody has been under the thumb of power structures more than women. And I often wonder how these religions that fight so much just can't find some common ground in how they all repress women. You have a lot more in common than you think. And that thing is huge. How women have to obey a patriarchal structure and man's needs to juke. A man needs to juke. He needs to push out milk. This isn't a cultural thing. It's more of a how rich your country is thing. South Korea leading the staggeringly low replacement levels. Birth rate plummeting in South Korea because everyone's on their Samsung phones with their little pencils, you know, ting tong, ting tong. China, big boom when they wanted to make sure they had more people to take over Taiwan and whatever other country they planned to take over. But it got too much. And then they got modernized, got rich, emerging middle class, started to plummet. Empty skyscrapers, empty condos, ghost towns. Not enough people to fill those apartments. But plenty of artist studio real estate. So you got to get creative. We're always looking for the sweet spot, the balance. Homeostasis. That's the human condition. So China, I have a recommendation for you. You got a lot of Jesse Scaturos in your country right now. What does I mean by that? Guys who are artists, right? Who have a woman, have an apartment, live with a woman, but like to get away during the day and sculpt and finger paint. Second home / studios. So, okay, you got ghost towns, turn them into artist studios, podcast studios, TikTok studios, sculpting studios. We're all going to be able to be finger painters, baby. It's going to be a future of kindergarten class. Express yourself. You got a lot of time in your hands. Welcome to the new world we call art gen ed requirement life. I don't even think art is ever a gen ed requirement. It's usually math is a gen ed requirement. Maybe history, I don't remember. Who needs school anymore? Double it up. All these people that have wives should also be able to have a Guma crash pad / studio. So if your population decreases and you have empty ghost towns, residential area ghost towns, allow the people who are married and have children to have a petit-terre, which is, you call it in French a petit-terre, and in Italian it's called my Guma smash pad. Where some of these guys can have some children out of wedlock with girlfriends who threaten to call their wives if they don't get their weekly allowance for Gucci bags. We got to change. Some of the things that we thought were anathema in the past may have to become moral in the future. Okay? The 20% of guys who 80% of the women want to fuck, let them go Genghis Khan, baby. Let them fuck. Let them have multiple kids. Their marriage contracts have to look a little different. They're star athletes. A regular schmo like me and you, hey, till God do death do us part, always support, will not covet thy neighbor's wife, will not always support, till death do us part, 1 and 1, monogamy, right? Because I am signing a rookie contract. I am a role player in society. Chris DiStefano, who the women want, his marriage contract should look a little different, okay? It should say, government stipend for reproductive purposes. We're going to throw you some Clipper-style, Kawhi Leonard, laundered money from a shell company, shadow company that gives you the extra bonus we couldn't give you under the salary cap. Plus, you can fuck 14 different women a month. For America. For America's need to replace. Let them free. Kobe. Let's stay away from that. Rest in peace. Roethlisberger, no need to get nasty or rough. You're free, my friend. You have to unshackle some of these 20% guys. And the 80% of men that they don't want to fuck have to make those AI slaves. That's what we have to do. Me and you have to become slaves to AI. It's sort of like the purge. It's sort of like the way you distract a dog when it wants to do something naughty and you give them a little string. You say, AI, don't enslave the 20%. And here's your 80% you can enslave because they're useless. Because we got our 20% of the guys having multiple women creating multiple winners when they reproduce. Elon Musk got the right idea. Send your sperm in the mail after you DM a Chinese influencer. I can't believe how that story came and went. The kid is offering up his sperm via Instagram DM. Guys, I do love CBD. I'm a little bit of an anxious guy. CBD works for me. I love partnering up with Cornbread Hemp at cornbreadhemp.com. CBD might just be what you need to level up your daily routines. Cornbread Hemp uses only the best part of the hemp plant, the flower, for the purest and most potent CBD. No fillers, no junk, just full spectrum goodness. Right now, my friends, they're offering 30% off your first order. Just go to cornbreadhemp.com/Yannis and use the code Yannis at checkout. That's cornbreadhemp.com/Yannis, YANNIS, with the code Yannis to get 30% off your first order of Cornbread Hemp. Everyone should have CBD in their house now. You know, it's a natural, organic way to just chill out. No high, just body. Look, there's pros and cons, and this is why we're talking about it today. Obviously, the population, you could tell by rush hour traffic, has swelled, especially in urban centers. And of course, there's many factors: urban, rural, suburban, city, first world, second world, third world. And then there's religious factors. The religious factors and the socioeconomic condition your country is currently in seem to be the two overarching factors, the independent factors, the independent variables, the salient factors for your replacement level, right? Poorer countries, they're having more kids. It's almost ironic, right? And then people here will go, so what's the reason? Like Jesse, I just said to Jesse, I said, what's the reason people are having kids? He's like, well, it's very economically tough. I don't know how you raise a child in a $3,000 apartment with running water and supermarkets. It's just too hard.
That's not what I said.
Sort of. You were like, well, they make it very difficult for you to have a child that's expensive.
I said no one could buy a house.
Nobody can buy it. I know. These are really difficult problems. And you know what proves that you're right? That they're fucking like crazy in mud shacks with no shoes.
Yeah, that is true. You got a point there.
I got a very strong point, my friend. So I don't think that's what it is. I think it's a me culture. My day. I don't want my day to get interrupted. I want to do what I want to do. I want to do what I want to do. And who wouldn't? Who wouldn't in a world that's first? A first world with plenty of amenities, plenty of games to watch, plenty of fat babies to sculpt, plenty of TikTok dances to do, plenty of comedy shows to attend, plenty of beats to make on your synthesizer to express yourself, plenty of dreams to have. I want to go to Monaco. There's so many places I want to travel before I have children. So people are putting it off, they're putting it off, they're putting it off, they're putting it off. And for men, we can do that because God is a fucking sexist. And women put it off. They start to get to 29. They start to get to 20, 30. And nature's going, okay, shoot some, let him in. It's time to have a fucking pool party in my pussy. Go. Let the swimmers in. Let them put on their trunks. Open the pool. Open the pool. Let them dive in. And they go, nope, pool's closed. Pool's closed. And then they get to 34, 5, or 6. They've attended Pussy March rallies. They've attended Black Lives Matter. And they're like, I cannot. There was another police shooting. My secret group that meets up on Telegram needs me to be in Union Square. I can't have a child right now because there's injustice in the world. Then she hits 35. And then she's got to get a boyfriend from Mexico City because they secretly just want green cards because you're a little too old in the fertility game for someone who wants to start a family to choose you. They'll fuck ya. Then your pool moves to the 50 to 65 level, right? You talk to any woman who's in her 30s or 40s, and they're going like, I'm on these dating sites, and the only guys that are responding to me are 65-year-old fat divorcees. And I'm going like, yeah, they didn't tell you that in school. They were busy telling you about how many genders they were, but they forgot to tell you about some of these law of the jungle facts that might cause you to have a little bit of something I like to call a Lexapro dependency. When your dreams don't match up with the underlying anatomically anchored biological reality. They're not teaching you in school about that stuff. Hey, ladies, you might want to, They're going, yeah, just do you. Be you. And so that creates a worry about population replacement. So what do we do? What do the countries do that are having population replacement issues? They're below level. It's too low. What do? This is Mr. Rogers. What do, kids? It's a little thing called immigration. It's happening all over Europe. My motherland of Greece, America, Canada, even homogeneous Japan has to do it now. They have to. Why? Because there's labor shortages. There's not people. Not only do you not have enough people, you don't have any people willing to do some of those jobs. Okay? Now in Japan, you're definitely going to get a wage. You might get a couple funny looks. We'll have some culture classes, some tension. In Saudi Arabia, they're very efficient about that. They keep them ostracized and they steal their passports and say you can't leave the country until you're done. And then you forget about that you were working for free because you're just happy that you're no longer restricted from traveling back to your home country. No reproduction. No, you don't get to open a Syrian restaurant. There's no Filipino sushi. I don't know what they eat. You can't watch a Manny Pacquiao song, karaoke night, show. You just do your work and you leave. That's how they handle it. But you got to rely on immigration. You got to rely on incentives from the government. The government starts looking at the census, and the billionaires and the lizards that run the world go, this is going to be a problem. We don't have enough young people to convince to defend my riches. Military recruitment becomes a problem. Not only you have low population to kill off, I like to call them ants or pawns. I'm just speaking from, the oligarchy that runs countries in the world. But the ones we do have don't want to do it. They'd rather play Call of Duty in their home. And we can't convince their parents anymore that dying for the country is noble because they love their kids and they're all reading Gabor Mate and they're helping their children get over their childhood trauma. And they're saying, yes, I'm sorry. I should have been there more. Whatever. I know what happened. Which isn't a bad thing. I'm not knocking it. So that's what happens. So the governments start going, hey, we're going to give you a payment for newborns. So in emerging or new nascent first world nations like Singapore, they say, hey, here's a baby bonus. You have a child, you have a one child, we give you a money. You want the money, we have a child. Because that becomes the concern, right? Not enough men to go to the military, an aging population that the young people have to pay for, tax burden on the youth. There's plenty of things that go wrong. Not enough consumers. Your GDP takes a hit. Not enough workers. You got to rely on immigration, and that's what happens. Tax breaks, monthly payments. Countries are handling it all types of ways. Okay? Countries like Finland, they bend over backwards for you. They say, hey, here's some paid leave, have kids, raise some kids. So if you hate your job, having a child is a way out for a couple of months or a year. All right? You're not going to lose any income, but we need you to make kids. Here's some flexible work hours. You got to bend over backwards for these chicks to have kids. You got to, listen, Israel's paying influencers $7,000 a month right now to do pro-Israel. Larry Ellison has bought in TikTok to start changing that messaging. We need influencers to start getting these girls a little bit more inculcated with like advantages to having kids. You know, we can't just show them destroyed bodies and flattened titties and stretch marks. You know, we need these influencers out there dancing pregnant, on government leave, you know, getting my PPP pussy check, call it a full pussy check. Call it a filled up pussy check, right? Now, you don't got your PPP. What you gonna spend your filled up pussy check on? Because her pussy's filled up with sperm. What are you going to spend that on? I'm going to spend it on a holiday, you know, an internet trend. And they're dancing with my man. I'm with my man. I'm with my man. We're shopping at Kohl's. I'm with my man. And we're shopping at Kohl's, pushing a baby stroller. We need that content. Government needs to pay $7,000 a month for that. Get these chicks to feel like it's sexy to have kids. Start getting kids, young guys hooked early on pregnant porn. So, because women, you know, they dress to attract men. But if men's tastes start going like, I like a little baby bump, all the women will want to be pregnant. But let's talk about the high cost of raising a child. I think that's more of a fear in your brain, because once you have a kid, you figure, why don't we talk about the motivating factor of having a child? Huh? The motivating factor. Maybe you're thinking of it as a high cost of raising a child because currently, at your current life situation and level of motivation, bringing a kid in would hurt that bottom line. But why don't you think about it as, oh, I'll have a kid and I'll be forced to make more money. So I don't buy that so much. Debt and housing costs, student loan debt. Oh, bloom. Oh my God. You're living at home anyway, Gen Z. Millennial, you're living at home with your parents anyway. This generation has the highest rate of that. And then they complain and you go, how much are you paying for rent? And they go, I'm paying about $330. You're like, you do know you could get a house. You work from home. So why don't you go gentrify Detroit? Or why don't you go fucking to Madison, Wisconsin and buy yourself a mansion for half of that and have 6 kids? So we have some kids to go off and die for fucking Larry Ellison and fucking Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. And the old guard, deep state. Student loan debt, high housing costs, general financial instability. Tell that to fucking Sudan. Tell that to Fucking every Muslim country besides Iran that's had a little dip because they've kind of come up. The Muslims are fucking. You know how they say get in between the sheets? They get under the sheets. They go right under it. They get right under that fucking hijab. And they're fucking. Right? Greta Thunberg. Time to make some autistic babies. Now look. You look like He-Man before he turned pro. Time to get you into a fucking lovemaking room. Turn all the nap rooms. You know how they have nap rooms in modern corporations? When I worked at, when I had a show at AOL, they had a nap room. They had a nap room. There was a sheet outside. You can sign up for a nap room. They also had bodega freezers with endless drinks. So you could go in and just grab whatever you want. Starbucks, coffee, energy drink, sodas, waters, infinity. Turn those nap rooms into fucking forced reproduction. Got to go in with a guy. Make a baby. A growing number of young people want more time for themselves, their personal growth, and their careers rather than being parents. Hey, I can't have a child right now. I just started a Twitch channel. I can't have a child right now. I haven't even read The Power of Now. I just got into Eckhart Tolle. I just started following the bitch with the fucking Ray-Ban black rim glasses who tells me about count to 5 when I'm feeling anxious. You know that bitch, Molly Robbins or whatever? I just discovered Jake Sheedy, who now is doing Kenneth Cole commercials. Those are our new celebrities. The British guy, the British Indian guy. I just got really in to the Giggle Squad podcast. I can't. Here we go. Proving my point. Younger generations, particularly women, are more focused on building their careers and achieving higher education, which often leads to being a horrible, cold mother. I can tell you because I had one. And my mother wanted to do it back when you couldn't do it. She was one of 2 women in her graduating law school class. The other was Frances Siegel, her best friend, who cheated on her husband during a semester in Italy and never told anyone except my mother about it, but my mother told me about it. Now my mother's passed away and Frances Siegel has Alzheimer's. So there you go. She did a semester abroad or something in Italy and she had an affair behind her husband's back. So if her children are happy to watch this, now you know. Now, why is this issue on the forefront? Because Ayesha Curry has brought it to my attention. I don't think you should talk about people's wives. It's not right. It's not cool. I'm old school like that. So let's talk about the issue she brings up. Right? She went on a podcast and she started complaining. Now, women are increasingly more on boards of corporations, more in high positions. When the entertainment business was intact, dude, I can't tell you the last time I had a meeting that didn't have like almost good-looking women. You know, it was like a type as executives. It was just women everywhere, dude. It was just women everywhere. So you can kind of understand how Hollywood kind of started getting all like weird with their content. Because women are empathetic, they're caring, they're nurturing, and they also are never happy. Never happy, no matter what you do. You put an extension on your house, add big windows, and they go, yeah, but I really want a porch. You put a porch on there, you go, yeah, but it's not my dream house. You can pull, yeah, but it's not. They kind of have that innate thing that kind of always complains. And I get it. That keeps the man motivated and keeps him trying to get more. This is all anatomically anchored evolutionary theory shit that is just, they're just facts, dude. Okay? Stereotypes are only mostly true. Let's not pretend like they don't fall from the sky. Women be complaining. Right? So they complain. So the Democratic Party has gone majority woman, especially in the coveted Gen Z demographic, and the males have gone majority Republican. There's a real gap, a real gender gap. So all the dudes are at sausage parties, ironically blowing each other because they're conservatives, and the women are over there lapping each other's fucking mud holes at their fucking Kamala Harris fundraiser. And they're not hanging out together. Okay, so Ayesha Curry goes out. Now, Ayesha Curry was what you call a unknown actress. Before she met Steph Curry. If you ask me what her maiden name is, I'd have a better chance of knowing how to solve the Israeli-Palestinian issue than her maiden name. Okay? If they said, hey, your life depends on it, give me the solution to Israel-Palestine or tell me Ayesha Curry's maiden name, I would say, shoot me. Shoot me. I don't know. All you have to know is Ayesha Curry's birth certificate name. And I guarantee you, if we went on the street and did a poll and said, what was Ayesha's actress name? They would go, Ayesha Curry? You go, no. Curry is one of the most famous people on the planet, the best shooter that ever lived, one of the greatest role model for kids, changed the game of basketball, one of the highest earning sports athletes of all time, one of the most charismatic guys, one of the most disciplined athletes. Cream of the crop. Just a cream of the crop guy. Okay? So you get to be his wife. Not enough. Not enough. If you were wondering, her name was Ayesha Alexander. And I think before she was with Steph, I think she did a bit part maybe as a waitress on the WB. I don't know. Can we find out where she was in? She's been in a few things. And she's Canadian. And look at this. Hold on. She is a Canadian and American businesswoman, chef, restaurateur, and actress. She has a very popular cooking channel. What fucking more do you want? You got millions of dollars. You got beautiful kids. Your husband is probably loyal to you because of his devotion to Christianity, or at least he says in public he is, which is good enough as you can hope for a guy that 80% of the women want to bang at all times with that good light skin and that good fucking hair. You still get to do your career and be on podcasts and be on restaurant things. And what more do you want? Because there's some fucking Sudanese mother who doesn't have shoes but has 18 kids. And none of them have clits. What more do you want? The irony is, the more comfortable we get, the more we complain. The freer we are, the more we complain about freedom. That's the irony. That's the oxymoron of it, right? The better things are for you in this country, the more you're free to yell about how they're not good. Missing the irony that things are so good you're allowed to talk about how bad they are. It's a big blind spot for people that don't understand that if a place was really bad, you couldn't criticize it. So she went on Call Her Daddy, right? And you can't say Call Her Daddy like that. You have to say, Call Her Daddy. She went on Call Her Daddy. It's in the pronunciation of the title. Call Her Daddy. Call Her Daddy. If you say, hey, have you listened to Call Her Daddy? I go like, what? There's no podcast called Call Her Daddy. And then they went, oh, she went on Call Her Daddy. I would go, oh, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about Call Her Daddy. There is no podcast called Call Your Daddy. She went on there and she went to Alex Cooper, who's probably already started her fucking plastic surgery regimen. And renowned journalist Alex Cooper, who interviewed presidential candidate without controversy, Kamala Harris. Nobody had a problem with that because Kamala Harris is good. You're like, what about all the people, black people she put in prison when she was in San Francisco? No, she's good. So no controversy over her being on Call Her Daddy. She goes on Call Her Daddy and she starts Charlie Browning. And Steph Curry's sitting there going, just box breathe. Hold for 4. Release for 7. Breathe in for 4. Hold for 6. Release for 7. Talk about being invited to a party you didn't want to go to. He wakes up in the morning and the internet is ablaze. Because Mrs. Curry goes out and talks about how unhappy she is, and the only one who understands her is her $3,000 a session therapist. Is there anything more American than this complaint? She said she never imagined a life as a wife and a mother. Ladies, I hate to tell you, that's what you're here for. Okay? We're stronger than you. If you don't give us kids, we're putting you back into the harem. You're going back into concubinage. Enough with this women talking. But I'm saying that's what we're here for too. We're not here for us to live as 15-year-olds till we're 80. We're here to reproduce. Are we the only species on this planet? I mean, the irony is the more atheistic people get, and again, I don't know if I made that distinction either. Not only is it cultural, socioeconomical, but I did say religion, right? And of course, the ones who have the lowest fertility rate are the agnostics, atheists, of course, right? I'd like to call them selfish people. Are we the only species on the planet that is not supposed to reproduce? Everything on this planet does what it does to reproduce. It's kind of coded into us, into everything. String beans, strawberries, everything is trying to propagate. Except for us. Again, no, I don't want to die. I want to live forever like that billionaire guy who spends all his time miserably trying to keep himself alive for another 3 years. I mean, it's nuts. This became culturally cool. So most projections suggest a significant decline from the peak population expected in the 21st century. Projections by entities like the UN's bullshit, suggest a peak around 2084 of about 10.3 billion, followed by a rapid decline. And it's not just the UN. This is many studies on this. Predict the population could fall to 7 by 2100 and potentially even lower. And some people theorize it could go down to a kind of scary 1 billion by 2300. But other scenarios consider factors like off-world colonization. Good luck with that. Seriously, good luck with that, dude. Are we really going to colonize Mars? I don't know. Maybe we will. I doubt it. Which could lead to a dispersed and even much larger population across different planets and habitats. Perhaps that's going to happen if we make it. Doesn't seem like we're having the internal revolution we need to have for that to happen. We're still kind of acting like dicks. Dicks and cunts. You know what I mean? I don't know if humanity's going to make it. We got to mass produce Eckhart's Tolle, The Power of Now or something, and translate it into multiple languages, force people to meditate, force people to examine their childhoods and their subconscious. We'd really have to have like a Jungian, spiritual, Buddhist, yet religious sort of revolution that tackled everyone. So, good luck. I mean, the colonization of Mars seems more like an escape plan. Doesn't really seem like a evolution. It could be a very needed escape plan. Now, big populations are also a problem, though. So, the Earth capacity to sustain a large population is, is a factor. It doesn't that well. The development of space habitats could lead to a population dispersed across the solar system. Climate change, severe global warming, which people say isn't real, but we kind of know something's happening, could make large parts of the Earth uninhabitable, influencing population distribution as well. But the most prevalent projections suggest a significant decrease, like I said, after the peak in the later part of the 21st century. But here is the twist that we will end on. It could be right on time. That population decline could be right on time. The people I was just making fun of could be the prescient smart ones, right? AI is now a reality. AI will be making most jobs antiquated. No more. There's going to be much less of a need for a higher population. So maybe this will time out perfectly. The problem is AI is coming fast, and these projections aren't for a while. So that means there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be hitting street protests and trolling in comments. That's all that's been happening during this transition period. Is there's a bunch of bitter former employees of Paramount who just used to be line producers or writers, and they're just at home all day in the comments yelling at Theo Vaughn. That's what's happened. You have to have a lot of time on your hands to be paying attention to Theo Vaughn all day, right? Or the Riyadh Comedy Festival, or whatever have you. Or Mark Maron and whatever his childless life is spouting out at the mouth. So another army of trolls hit the digital landscape and the streets in this transition period. As you've noticed, there's protests fucking every day all over the world. What's the one thing you have to have in order to be able to hit the streets at 2 p.m.? Unemployment. Time on your hands. Work from home. A cushy job situation. And then sometimes that's a paycheck, right? George Soros goes, hey, here's a couple dollars, hit the streets. I'm not just saying them too. Israel is paying influencers money to go out there and be like, you're good. Philanthropic foundations and grassroots donors do provide funding to activists and civil society organizations. So there you go. This money is typically used for legitimate expenses, of course, like permits, legal defense, security, and equipment. And they won't admit sometimes for individuals to attend protests. How about a little stipend? How about a little free lunch? How about water bottles? Occasional, what they call crowd for hire firms. There's companies like Crowds on Demand, which offer paid crowd services for events, including protests. There you go. So your suspicions aren't wrong. Like most thing on the internet, there's like probably 10% to 20% truth max. The rest is bullshit. But there is a little kernel of truth. That's what the internet does. And you have to focus on the kernel of truth in order to get the clicks. Because the kernel of truth is where your outrageous headline comes from. You know how it goes. Exposed. You got to go hard. But ultimately, it can end up being a good thing. Ultimately, we may need less people. And the people now who stop fucking could be ahead of their time because this projected population collapse could be warranted. The future may just look like AI-fused humans and robots doing most of the work and humans just sitting around all day, finger painting, expressing themselves, meditating all day, philosophizing, having recreational sex. It could be amazing, dude. You know, it could be a whole different thing where people are like, yeah, the gender thing, it's like, I don't care, let's just fuck. Like Bonobo chimps, like whoever's closest to me, just fuck. You know, no more societal shame because of your taste. Yeah, you hang yourself with a rope, whatever you do. Autoerotic asphyxiate. Nobody judges you. Becomes more normal. You know, you want to throw on a fucking diaper and crawl around, have a mistress tell you to clean her apartment. It's like, because there's plenty of time to explore all those parts of your brain. That could be what happens too. But in the meantime, immigration is a positive for the workforce. And what the left ignores is it does create assimilation and cultural problems and strife. It does poke a hole in the unity of your country. You know, diversity is a strength. Yeah. But you know what's more of a strength? I think unity. Right? Unified front. Things like that. So, as we look forward to 2500 and the earth that our great-grandkids will grow up into and their great-great-great-grandkids, we do have a complex interplay of demographic, environmental, and technological factors that will affect the outcome of what this all looks like. But right now, it seems like Muslims got a lot more people. If the trends continue, the sub-Saharan population will, I think, be a projected 40% of the global population as the Asians one drops. One thing is for sure. The whites ain't fucking. I mean, and I'm not trying to be racial or anything because it seems like the Asians have stopped fucking a little bit as well. But the Arabs are fucking. Muslims are fucking, man. Because they're not tied down to this like one man, one woman, and career dream thing. So if you wanted to know the role of religion, it wasn't just to unify empires. It wasn't just the opiate of the masses. It seemed to be a very strong motivating factor to continue the species during very hard times. I mean, can you imagine you're going through a plague or whatever, and then also Camus and Sitar, what's her name, Satir, are walking around going, what's it all about anyway? Why don't we just curl up in a bowl and die? You know, I was having existentialist angst anyway. What's the point? What's the point of all this? As opposed to someone saying, believe in God, faith, keep it moving. Dude, without religion and without faith, humanity would have been gone a long time ago. Gone. That has become clear and evident in modern times. When you look at how, when societies get comfortable, nobody has kids. When you can get sushi at a gas station, you're going, why would I want someone else invited to this party? I want all this sushi for me. Seriously, you ever think about that? How miserable and painful history has been. No anesthesia, gangrene, diseases, plagues, wars, rapes, conquests, and through it all, people still had motivation to go forward. And that motivation came from faith and religion and nowhere else. So it's very necessary for us to be here right now. So the thing that we rail against, calling people Jesus freaks or fucking Allah people, up until this point, very necessary. Ultimately, is there a single amount of people that's perfect for the planet to support? I don't think so. And scientists, I think, also haven't nailed it down. I think a lot of it depends. But the maximum capacity, according to scientists, vary widely. But the max, I think, is 100 billion. But it's impossible to nail down. For example, if 8 billion people on the planet were to live the average American middle-class life, consuming vast amounts of resources, the planet could only support around 2 billion people sustainably. So that's at current. That's pretty wild. So every time when you say, hey, we need to get more resources to everybody else, just remember that may not be the answer. You may just have to do a little cognitive dissonance and enjoy the luck that you're one of the ones who can. Did I say that right? I think I did. Right? That's according to science. A lot of empathetic people love science these days. And I'm just telling you, according to science, if 8 billion people, which is currently what the planet is at, and every single one of those 8 billion people were enjoying the resources that a middle-class American enjoys, the earth could only support 2 billion of those. That is a non-political fact according to science. A 2018 study suggested that if all resources were distributed and consumed more efficiently at a comfortable European standard of living, the optimal population would be, again, 2 billion. The World Wildlife Fund calculates that humanity is already in ecological overshoot, using resources faster than Earth can regenerate. This indicates that our current population is unsustainable at our current rate of consumption. Technological advancements have historically allowed the human population to grow far beyond what was once thought possible by increasing food production and improving living conditions. So with massive technological shifts, nuclear power, renewable energy, vertical farms, that's funny, we're going to have to build up farms, and space exploration for resources, Earth could potentially support trillions of people. This is all hypothetical, but at current, what is true is that if everyone was rich, like America is rich, and consumed at America or Europe's pace, only 2 billion of them the Earth could support. This is the harsh reality. I like to call it the puppy analogy, right? Because I'm a dog lover, right? So unfortunately, dogs have, 4 to 8 puppies, whatever it is, I don't know. And the reason why they evolved to have so many puppies is because a few of them would die because of how harsh nature is. So to ensure the survival of the species, you had to have multiple, right? And then you get to a point where life gets a little good and dogs are just in America. They're just in New York. And you can only really have 1 dog or 2 dogs at a time unless there's something missing and you need like 8 because you don't like people contact. There's something asocial about you and you just only relate to animals. But that's rare, right? People have 8 to 12 dogs. So there's just not enough people for all the dogs. If you look at our populations, you look at dog populations. And we're not just going to let them roam out because then they'll form packs and start eating babies. So unfortunately, and I hate this because I'm a dog lover, you have to put some of them down. And that's just a horrible fact because nature's just imperfect, just like our nervous system is from fucking 1,000 years ago. There's no neat way. So everyone's got to grow the fuck up a little bit. And women, you can't fucking save everybody. This is the fucking Titanic, and some of us are gonna drown. All right, this is Sophie's choice, baby. Who's it gonna be, us or the Muzzies? I'm kidding. No, of course, there's enough for everybody. Utopia, baby. Utopia, of course. Endless empathy. No end to up with the empathy, baby. We can save everybody. Every last child can be saved on God's fucking beautiful planet. Want to give a shout out, as always, to forthefree.art. Go check out their website. Music in Hawaii, bands from Hawaii, shows in Hawaii, my friends. Also, IndigoLabsAgency.com for your marketing needs. Also, check out Nate Linder's podcast, Entrepreneurship Unlocked with Nate Linder, where he interviews independent doctors, international touring artists, and tech CEOs, amongst others. Rebels-Raiders, you know the deal. Rebels-Raiders.com, okay? They're using this time to ask for your help. Rebels Raiders is raising money to cover the legal costs for Charlotte's Hills Farm Sanctuary in New Jersey. They're under attack again. The state's trying to force them off their land. The sanctuary is a legit 501c3 nonprofit with over 200 rescued animals, and they need help to fight back. Just go to rebels-raiders.com, click the charity tab, and it'll take you straight to the GoFundMe. Either this guy is one of the greatest guys on the planet, or he's planning a fucking militia revolution. Either way, the GOAT shirts are available as well. Rebels-Raiders.com. PCB Tech Art. Love these guys. They made these signs. They'll do stuff for you, whatever your ideas, they'll bring to fruition. But you can also buy their hit wireless charger for your car. Shop PCBTechArt.com. Find them on Amazon. They've helped over 10,000 customers fix their charging issues. Use our code Yannis15, all one word, for 15% off and fix your wireless charging issues today.